petitions, papers, presentation of reports from Dispute Resolution Commission, select committees, Chief Secretary questions, questions to secretaries, questions for oral answer.
Minority Councillor, Mrs. Danielle Benoit.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. Question number 281 to the Secretary of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation, Councillor Tashia Burris.
Councillor Burris.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. As it relates to the funding for sports tourism activities, can the Secretary clarify the following? A, what is the policy for funding sport tourism activities? B, what is the cost to the THA to host the Dodds diving event? C, what was the justification for funding the Dodds diving event held on August 9, 2025 in Charlottesville, as opposed to the Tobago International Cycling Classic? Madam Presiding Officer, the policy to guide decision-making, the Division of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation, alongside the Division of Community Development, Youth Development and Sports, have developed a matrix for evaluating sporting events for financial support. This matrix policy shall be soon presented to sporting bodies for promotion and refinement before it becomes a fixed policy, and a draft can be made available to the minority bench. B, the cost to host the Dodds diving event, the total cost was $2,003,997. And C, why Dodds diving versus the Tobago International Cycling Classic? So key points of comparison: the nature of the relationship with respect to the Dodds diving event. This is a 3-year partnership model anchored by a licensing fee paid by the THA. The Tobago International Cycling Classic is a sponsorship model reliant on annual funding from the THA and other sponsors. Dodds covers major costs including airfare, meals, accommodation, prize money, medals, trophies, local transportation, equipment, international TV and social media crews and production services. However, the Tobago International Cycling Classic relies on the THA and other sponsors to absorb event costs, particularly accommodation for cyclists, a practice not recognized as tourism promotion, in excess of 500,000 TT last year, and they only produced 65 cyclists, half of whom came from Trinidad. In terms of revenue and financial sustainability, Dodds diving, from 2026, the THA will receive 50% of local advertising revenue, and 4 major local advertisers have already signaled interest, and this event has the potential to become a cost-neutral or revenue-generating one for the THA. However, the Tobago International Cycling Classic total sponsorship exceeds $500,000, but provides no real attraction for international cyclists. The event has not reformed its business model to attract stronger commercial or international backing. In terms of exposure, Dodds diving is described as the fastest growing adventure sport in the world, with online viewership records of 50 million persons amplified by athlete vloggers. However, the Tobago event has already been featured in 2 1-hour Dutch and French specials on their largest networks, and negotiations have been completed with a major international sporting network for the 2025 to 2027 broadcast rights. And the exposure value for Destination Tobago is estimated in the hundreds of thousands of US dollars. However, the Tobago International Cycling Classic participation has been limited to only 65 cyclists, more than half from Trinidad. It is not a UCI sanctioned event, and this reduces international competitiveness and interest. Also, the low prize money offered provides little incentives for top-tier international athletes to participate. In terms of sustainability and viability, the Dodds diving partnership model ensures shared revenue and long-term viability, and it has the potential pathway for the event to operate at no net cost to the THA. However, the Tobago International Cycling Classic, despite millions of dollars of support from the THA over the years, their current model is unsustainable, and we have also recommended reforms to redirect resources from accommodation to enhance prize money, to improve event management, to regain UCI sanctioning, to attract international cyclists seeking ranking points. And unfortunately, these recommendations have not been implemented, and without this necessary reform, the event risks continued decline. So basically what DODS is an opportunity for a partnership approach for the Tobago House of Assembly to host high-level international sports tourism events that not only allow international visitors to come into the island to participate, but through these television rights for persons in other destinations to see firsthand the destination and all that we have to offer. However, the Cycling Classic is an activity that, unfortunately, if we continue to support, we don't see it having a turnaround in the short to medium term. Thank you.
Presiding Officer, thank you. As it relates to international visitors, so outside of the competitors, is the Secretary able to indicate us or quantify how many international visitors came for this event?
Madam Presiding Officer, I'm unable to provide those figures.
Yes, Madam Presiding Officer, the member also spoke to a policy being prepared and will be disseminated. Is the member willing to indicate how the time frame for the completion of the policy?
I am advised that the policy is completed, so it's just a matter of doing the stakeholder consultations to have it disseminated and decided upon.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. Question 282 to the Secretary of Infrastructure, Quarries, Urban Development, Secretary Trevor James.
Blessed morning, Madam Presiding Officer. As always, it's an honor to stand in this august house on behalf of the people of Scarborough Mount Grace. As of September 30th, 2025, the expenditure under the rent and lease program for the URP, the commitment was $3.544 million. Paid to date, $2.816 million. The outstanding balance to be paid, $722,000. Under the recurrent side of the division, the outstanding let me combine. Under the development program and the recurrent program, we had invoices valuing $9,353,150. Paid to date, $7,616,866.25, with a balance of $14,705.25. An explanation for the delay in making these payments, Madam Presiding Officer. Essentially, we go through a process at the division where we rent pieces of equipment, and there's a process of cartridge receipts coming back to the main office to be verified. And the verification process sometimes is a bit long, but our goal, we rent in 3-month cycles, and our goal is to pay each cycle at the end of the 3 months. And I think we have generally been sticking to that, and the process of verification causes a delay, but we are working to see how we can reduce the time of the verification so that people can be paid more on time.
Minority Councillor, follow up.
Madam Presiding Officer, in terms of the amount outstanding, is the member able to identify the number of contractors, that sum of 1.4 million in one instance and 722,000 in the second? If he's able to tell us how many contractors or service providers
Secretary
that
James.
number.
At this time, Madam Presiding Officer, I don't have the details for that, but I can provide that at a future time.
Follow up. 283. Minority Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. Question 283 to the Secretary of Finance, Trade and the Economy, Councillor Petalan Roberts.
Councillor Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. The question posed is that the Secretary indicate to the House and the total value of the financial allocations received by the Tobago House of Assembly from the Government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago for the period December 6, 2021 to present, and further could the Secretary state the total expenditure of the THA for the same period inclusive of commitments and liabilities. Before I begin, Madam Presiding Officer, the financial year begins on October 1st of every year, so I have not discounted the 2 months of October and November in the calculations. Therefore, the total allocations received, and I also include the revenues collected by the Tobago House of Assembly that is offset against the parliamentary appropriation, for the fiscal years ending 2022, 2023, 2024, and 2025. The figure is $10,183,925,869. The expenditure for the same period, and I have disaggregated the commitments and liabilities. The actual expenditure is $9,582,365,831. The total commitments and liabilities, and I've included one long-term liability, which is the bond financing that we are expected to pay in 2027. The total liabilities and commitments to date is $780,774,000.
Follow up, Minority Councillor. No? Question 286. Minority Leader.
Question 286 to the Secretary of Infrastructure.
Assemblyman James.
It is becoming clear that the issuance of an export license is getting to my good colleague from Darrell Spring whim. I can see no records that the Division of Infrastructure had a line item under which $60 million was allocated to spill to acquire plants, any crushing plant. And so I'm unable to answer the questions that follow.
Is that the response?
Yes, Madam Presiding Officer.
Follow up, Minority Leader.
Madam Presiding Officer, well, just for clarity, this question has been on the order paper for quite some time, so unless I have a crystal ball, I cannot understand the initial response. And just for clarity, this question emanated from the reprioritization presentation, where it was indicated that $60 million will be allocated to spill. So we are simply trying to find out from the line secretary whether in fact that $60 million was allocated or not.
Assemblyman James.
The allocation for spill in 2022, 2023 was $4 million. 2023, 2024, $4 million. 2024, 2025, $4 million.
Follow-up, Minority Leader.
So I would just want to find out if, given the allocation received, whether SPEL was able to invest in the new crushing plant as was indicated at that presentation.
Assemblyman James.
Madam Presiding Officer, I have no recollection of the Secretary of Finance saying that they were going to allocate $60 million. Right? A man like money, so $60 million would have been a big thing. So I have no recollection of that. And the money on the allocation for SPEL is to supplement SPEL's operational expenses, given the fact that we inherited, we came into office, a crushing plant that was 33 years old and one that was 15 years old, and mobile equipment that was past 15 years old, and therefore the cost of repairs was significant. And the THA over the years, before we came to office as well, was allocating monies in order to assist SPEL in reducing the operational expenses.
Final follow-up, Minority Leader.
So just for clarity, can the member confirm whether SPEL or whether there was any intention by SPEL to acquire new equipment to improve the production capacity, including a crushing plant?
Assemblyman James.
I'm tempted to read a letter received at my office on the 7th of November, where a company is requesting of me to assist them in getting SPEL to give them blast material, presumably for a crushing plant somewhere in Trinidad and Tobago, to give them blast material to compete with SPEL. And I think these questions are connected to what this request is connected to what the minority leader is trying to ask. But let me say this. We came up with a strategy at SPEL, given the external demand that we were receiving at SPEL, to find a way to get into a serious investment to procure new mobile equipment and new crushing plants. And that strategy was to secure an export license, because from the sale of aggregate externally, SPEL will receive the necessary foreign exchange with which to repay that loan. And so the intention at SPEL has been from my time, yes, to buy new plants, to buy new equipment, to increase production. And the way we could have justified that was being able to sell material externally, and my good friends, colleagues in Trinidad, determined that we will not be permitted to do such. Today, he's coming to ask these questions.
Question 287, Minority Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. Question 287 to the Secretary of Finance, Trade and the Economy, Councillor Petalan Roberts.
Councillor Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. The question posed is asking with respect to tenancy, both rental of property and lease of plots to EID cut. Can the Secretary list the names of the companies and the nature of business of all the new tenants onboarded from December 6, 2021 to present? So I was advised by the management of the Eco-Industrial Development Company of Tobago that the following companies hold lease agreements and are tenants of the Cove the Industrial Park at under EIDCOT's purview. TDC, which is Tobago Data Center Limited, and the nature of their business is IT processing, and they were onboarded, and their contract date was the 30th of January 2023. The second company, KK Construction and Designs Limited, contract date the 9th of January 2023, and the nature of their business is architecture, construction, and contracting. The third company, Emergency Training Institute of Trinidad and Tobago Limited, their contract was renewed on the 9th of December 2022, and the nature of their business is education and training. Bar Estate Limited, date onboarded the 31st of March 2023, and they are into light beverage manufacturing. The fifth company, Catch the Wave Solutions Limited, onboarded on the 30th of April 2024, and the nature of their business is education and training, or audio visual. The next company is the Audio Ultimate Experience Limited. They have a letter of intent because they have not yet received contract. 8th of May 2023 for education and training is the nature of their business. Indilime TT Limited signed a letter of intent on the 28th of August 2024, and the nature of their business is light manufacturing.
Follow-up, Minority Councillor.
I recognize some of them are training organizations. For the Secretary of Finance, are those companies or entities onboarded, are they in keeping with the policy of the Eco-Industrial Development Park?
Councillor Roberts.
Madam Presiding Officer, I don't understand if they are in keeping with the policies of the company.
Madam Presiding Officer, I think that there's a policy for the management and engagement of tenants at the Eco-Industrial Park. As the name suggests, Eco-Industrial, and as far as I recall, it was for eco-agricultural manufacturing and that kind of business. I don't know if the policy has changed, and as a result, I'm asking the Secretary if the tenants that are so listed are in keeping with the policy of the park.
Do you have the name, the policy, so she could reference it easier to answer your question?
No, I don't have the name policy.
Can you respond to that question?
No, I cannot respond to that question because I don't know what policy she is referring to
So,
either.
Madam Presiding Officer, is there a policy to guide the tenants being engaged at the park?
Councillor Roberts.
The policies are being set by the Board of Directors, and Madam Presiding Officer, I will have to get that policy and see if it is in line with what she is saying here.
Minority Councillor, follow-up.
Madam President, I'm asking if there is a current policy in place. I did not get a definitive yes or no.
Definitely, there is a policy in place.
Thank you.
Question 290. Minority Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. Question 290 to the Secretary of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development, Assemblyman Trevor James.
Assemblyman James.
Is a border. Let me read the response as given to me. Despite operating 2 crushing plants that have exceeded their average 15-year operational lifespan, one is currently 33 years old, the other 17 years old, SPEL has achieved a recent average daily production rate of 140 metric tons per hour. This performance is particularly noteworthy as it is attained during the rainy season when frequent precipitation typically slows quarrying activities and exacerbates the challenges associated with operating inherited aging assets. Under the current administration, average production at SPEL has increased steadily over the past 4 years. During this period, the company US dollars balance has risen substantially from $290,000 to an average of $1 million. To accelerate this process, plans are being developed to acquire new assets that will enhance production capacity and generate export revenue in foreign currency.
Follow-up Minority Council. Oh, you're still
With
on the field,
regards,
sorry.
Madam Presiding Officer, to the presence of andesite minerals in Tobago. Sorry. SPEL has a mineral called andesite, and we possess the greatest export potential of aggregate produced in Trinidad and Tobago. SPEL is strategically positioned to capitalize on regional export opportunities. This will enable the company to earn the US dollars required to fund planned capital expenditures and further strengthen its operational and financial performance. Part B, local demand for aggregate is dynamic. Regardless, SPEL currently has a stockpile of different sizes of aggregate, including 9.5 millimeter, approximately 4,000 metric tons, I beg your pardon, 19 millimeters, approximately 4,000 metric tons, and crusher run, approximately 5,000 metric tons.
Follow-up Minority Council.
Part B to the question, I am not sure if the member answered. Is the production at a level sufficient to adequately meet the existing local demand? And I didn't hear whether or not all the figures that was quoted in terms of the production, if it can meet adequately local demand.
Assemblyman James.
I'll read that again slowly. SPEL has in stockpile today, this was received last night, SPEL has in stockpiles of yesterday, on the ground, 4,000 metric tons of 9.5 millimeter, 4,000 metric tons of 19 millimeter, and 5,000 metric tons of crush run. So despite the demand in Tobago over the last month, SPEL has reserve stockpile on the ground today, which means that we have excess material.
Follow-up Minority Councillor.
Yes, Madam Presiding Officer. If SPEL is to function at full capacity, can the member indicate how many tons of aggregate that will be if it is to work at full capacity?
Assemblyman James.
I don't have the production capacity of the new equipment we will acquire at hand.
Existing.
I did say that currently we are working at producing the rate of production of the plants we now have is 140 metric tons per hour. That's the rate we have been achieved at production. And at that production, we have on the ground still 4,000, and 5,000 metric tons. I don't know how clearer that could be.
Thank you. Final, is there a processing license for SPEL? Or does SPEL have a processing license?
A processing license?
Yes.
You have to explain further what you mean by processing license. We have a blasting license, and we have a quarry license, and now an export license.
Madam Presiding Officer, from my information, another requirement is a processing license that allows SPEL to process its aggregate. So I am just asking if there's a processing license.
And I think the question was answered of the license.
The Tobago House of Assembly will reconvene for a special sitting on Wednesday, November 12, 2025. Get updates on motions, answers to special questions, and of course, front row access to heated debates. Wednesday, November 12th, we begin at 10 a.m. with the 47th sitting of the 2021-2025 session of the Tobago House of Assembly. As usual, you can either come in or tune in. Either way, don't miss it.
Members be seated. Minority Council, that question was asked and answered. And unfortunately, you have exhausted your follow-up questions. Question 291, Minority Councillor.
Question 291 to the Secretary of Community Development, Youth Development and Sport, Assemblyman Wayne Clark.
Assemblyman Clark.
Can the Secretary state the current policy governing the use of community centers on the island of Tobago, including the procedures for accessing the use of these facilities and any applicable fees or restrictions? Madam Presiding Officer, the respective village councils are granted authority to manage the day-to-day operations of community centers within their communities. The responsibilities of the village councils are as follows: oversee daily management, bookings, and maintenance of the facilities, establish and collect fees for the use of these centers, ensure proper upkeep and community access. The role of the Division of Community Development, Youth Development and Sport provides technical and advisory support to assist the village councils in effectively carrying out their management functions. This technical support includes maintenance assistance, training sessions, monitoring and evaluation. The advisory support includes policy guidance, governance support, operational planning, community engagement advice. Procedure for accessing the facilities. Community centers. The requests for the use of community centers are made directly through the managing village councils. Applicable fees and restrictions. Rental fees are set and administered solely by the respective village councils. Fees vary based on the type of facility and the nature of the event. Caution fees apply and must be paid before use. Facilities are to be used for lawful community-oriented purposes.
Minority Council follow-up. Secretary, Assemblyman Clark.
Madam Presiding Officer, with all due respect, I came prepared to answer a question about the governing of community centers. Nowhere in the question multipurpose facilities were mentioned. So the information I give is in alignment with what was asked.
Can the information be sent to the minorities office?
Madam Presiding Officer, sure, if that question is asked.
Madam Presiding Officer, I'm just asking if the policy for multipurpose facility use is the same as that for community centers.
Okay, listen, he just stated he didn't have, and he will provide the information to you. Okay. So, next follow-up question, please.
So, Madam President, I'm confirming that the member is going to provide the information about the use of the multipurpose facilities.
Through my office, yes.
Thank you.
Follow-up question?
Madam Presiding Officer, I just want us to be very, very clear here as we proceed. The question was on community centers. I provided that. If a question is asked about multipurpose centers,
Assemblyman
that
Clark,
question can
Assemblyman Clark, please have a seat. The question that she just asked is about multipurpose centers, yes? And I'm asking that that information be forwarded to their office, through my office. Follow-up question, Minority Councillor. Question 292, Minority Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. Question 292 to the Secretary of Finance, Trade and the Economy, Councillor Petelan Roberts.
Councillor Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. The question was asked in light of the Prime Minister's statement on Tuesday, 4th November in this House, indicating the disbursements to the Tobago House of Assembly will be made on time. Can the Secretary inform this House whether the THA has in fact received its full allocation for the current quarter? If yes, the Secretary state the amount received. We have not received the full amount for the quarter, and I will indicate the amount that we received so far on the 23rd of October in keeping with the Appropriation Act. And Madam Presiding Officer, if you allow me to just read the Appropriation Act of Act number 25 of 1964, which states, and I'll just read section 3, where an Appropriation Act has come into operation before the commencement of a financial year, the Minister may, for the purpose of meeting expenditure necessary to carry on the services of the government until the expiration of 30 days from the beginning of the new fiscal year or coming into operation of the Appropriation Act for the ensuing year, whichever is earlier, authorized by warrant the withdrawal of monies in the amount not exceeding 10% of the total expenditure authorized by the Appropriation Act for the last past fiscal year. So we have received the 10% of the last fiscal year, which is 2025. So we received on the 23rd of October, 237,575,560 for recurrent and 20,500,000 for development program.
Follow-up, Minority Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. So just for clarity, the member is saying that they have not received the allocation as was indicated by the Prime Minister. Madam Presiding Officer, I am also asking in terms of following up, could the Secretary indicate what was the request for the first quarter?
Councillor Roberts.
Madam Presiding Officer, these are figures that we don't have in our heads. If this was a question that needed to be answered, then I'd provide it. I don't have the quarterly figure that was requested. I don't have these figures in my head.
Minority Councillor, follow-up question.
Yes, Madam Presiding Officer, I'm just confirming that the THA did not receive the allocation for the first quarter.
Minority Councillor, I'm sure that you heard the response from Councillor Roberts. Follow-up question, please.
Yes, Madam Presiding Officer. Can the Secretary provide what was the first quarter request?
Sure. Minority Councillor, follow-up question, please. That's the same question you just asked.
Yes, Madam Presiding Officer, it's a follow-up, and I'm asking if that information, the Secretary indicated she does not have the information on her, but can the information be provided, Madam Presiding Officer?
Councillor Roberts.
Madam Presiding Officer, most definitely that can be provided in writing through your office.
Thank you.
Follow-up, Minority Councillor. Question 293, Minority Leader.
Question 293 to the Secretary of Infrastructure.
Assemblyman James.
Madam Presiding Officer, I wish to note and maybe seek an explanation, a clarification on Standing Order 26, 5 and 7. However, at no time did the Secretary of Infrastructure travel to Dubai recently.
Follow-up, Minority Leader.
Can the member repeat, because I was a bit distracted?
Minority Leader, you have to pay attention. This is your question.
Madam Presiding Officer.
He didn't travel to Dubai. Follow-up question.
Okay. There's no follow-up.
Minority Leader, question 294. Sorry, is Secretary Pollard, Assemblyman Pollard here? No? Would he be attending today? No?
He's on his way.
He's on his way? Okay. That seems to be the end of all questions. The Secretary for the last question isn't here as yet. I'm being told he would be on his way.
295.
Is there more?
295.
Yes, last one. Okay, good. Question 295. Minority Leader.
Question 295 to the Secretary of Health, Wellness and Social Protection.
Assemblyman Brebner.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. The question is about the ambulances and the leased ambulances. Point of clarity, though we have ordered 12 ambulances, because according to the assessment of the needs of the island, we recognize that that is the ideal number of ambulances that we should have on the island at any given time to ensure that we provide adequate, efficient service. The arrangement that was made included us having those delivered on a phased basis, Madam Presiding Officer, so that they are not all delivered at the same time, and therefore they do not come to the end of their life at the same time, which is what happened with the last set of ambulances that was procured maybe 15 or so years ago, which is why we are in the position we are in now, where we have to provide options to supplement the service. Currently, we are leasing ambulances, so the answer to A is yes. The cost of those thus far for financial 2022 to 2023, ambulances were leased for two specific reasons. For the Commonwealth Games that we had at that time, because it was used to supplement because of the volumes of people we had on the island, and we needed to ensure we could provide that service. The cost at that time was $209,250. For 2023-2024, so my error, in 2022-2023, we only leased ambulances for the Commonwealth Games. 2023 to 2024, that is where we leased ambulances for two different reasons. The first was for the Tobago October Carnival, and the cost associated with that was $87,750. And then, if you would remember, probably a day or two before Christmas, we announced that in essence, we really only had one functioning ambulance on the island, and we took a decision to lease additional ambulances for the day-to-day services that were available. The cost for 2023 to 2024 for that daily service was $4,050,000. So for 2023 to 2024, the total was $4,137,750. For financial 2024 to 2025, we leased ambulances for the daily service, and the total cost for that was $5,356,125. Total cost leased ambulances is $9,703,125.
Secretary, given that the cost of an ambulance is average $700,000, and we have now spent $9 million over a period of only 1.5 years to lease 4 ambulances, does the Secretary consider this value for money?
Sure. Madam Presiding Officer, several errors in the statement. The numbers that I gave started from 2022 to 2025, so we are not talking about a year. I am not sure that your number of 4 ambulances is also accurate. But I am actually happy, Madam Presiding Officer, that this conversation is happening, because one of the things I think the average person does not understand is that even though when we go to the hospital or to the health center, we do not pay at the time of receiving service. And even though when we get our pay slips, we see the health surcharge coming out, and it's a relatively minuscule figure. People don't realize that the cost of healthcare is actually quite large. As a matter of fact, the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection has to give a subvention to the Tobago Regional Health Authority of over $40 million. And I repeat, $40 million every single month, Madam Presiding Officer, because that is what it actually costs to provide the service that is provided. So spending $9 million on ambulance services 2022 to now, leased services to ensure that we provide the type of service that is needed for the island, is actually value for money, and it is a part of what it costs to provide health care to the people of Tobago. I mean, people don't recognize that any time we have to fly someone to Trinidad, for example, it's almost upwards of $100,000 just to get the helicopter to land and go, Madam Presiding Officer. So I think I actually welcome this kind of opportunity, because I don't think people truly recognize how much health care costs, how much health services cost. So this is an opportunity to have that honest conversation with the people. And may I also add, Madam Presiding Officer, it is an opportunity to say to the people of Tobago that it is really in your best interest to stay as healthy as possible, because the cost is going to keep going up if we as a population continue to not be well and continue to get sicker and sicker, so that we have to provide more advanced services to the people.
Follow-up, Minority Leader.
Madam Presiding Officer, I appreciate the lecture from the Secretary, but my concern as a Tobagonian, appreciating that we have scarce resources, is really simple, Madam Presiding Officer. Given that the procurement for ambulances were approved and settled in 2023, and to date, 2025, we are still leasing ambulances to the cost of $9 million, which could have actually purchased over 7 ambulances. I am simply asking the Secretary if that is proper management of our very scarce resources.
Assemblyman Brebner.
Certainly, Madam Presiding Officer. The Tobago Regional Health Authority is doing what it needs to do to provide the best quality service to the people of Tobago in terms of healthcare. And I do agree that it is a wise use of the resources that we have.
Final follow-up, Minority Leader.
So the Secretary is unconcerned that we have spent over $25 million in ambulance services.
Question, Minority Leader.
Is the Secretary unconcerned that very scarce resources have been placed into the leasing of ambulance services when there are other critical aspects of healthcare that is lacking at this time?
Assemblyman Brebner.
Madam Presiding Officer, the Tobago Regional Health Authority makes decisions continually as to how we spend the resources that are available, and we continue to provide the best quality service that we can to the people of Tobago.
Request for leave to move the adjournment of the Assembly on definite matters of urgent public importance. Statements by secretaries or assistant secretaries. Personal explanations. Introduction of bills. Motions relating to the business or sittings of the Assembly and moved by a secretary or assistant secretary. Public business. Motion.
Assemblyman Hake, Leader of Assembly Business.
Madam Presiding Officer, good morning, colleagues in the House. I rise to move the motion standing in my name, which reads, be it resolved that this Honorable House adopt the report of the House Committee of the 12th session of the Tobago House of Assembly 2021 to 2025. Madam Presiding Officer, this motion brings before the House Committee's report 2025, which outlines proposed amendments to the operation manual for electoral district offices, and I have a copy of it in my hand. Madam Presiding Officer, this is the very document that guides how assemblymen manage and operate their district offices across Tobago. This manual, and the copy I have in front of me, reads to a last amendment during the 2017 to 2021 session. That's the 10th session of the Tobago House of Assembly, has served as a useful reference for the administration of district office operations. But, Madam Presiding Officer, as the island's social and economic landscape continues to change, so too must the systems, policies, and plans that underpin our work as representatives of the people change. Madam Presiding Officer, this review by the House Committee was simply not a matter of revising figures or adjusting formulas. No. Madam Presiding Officer, instead, it was about strengthening the framework that allows assemblymen to carry out their responsibilities with efficiency, with professionalism, and with the dignity that these district offices demand. As members of this House, we are therefore entrusted with the responsibility of ensuring that every Tobagonian, regardless of where they live, has direct, meaningful access to their area representative. The district office is therefore more than just an administrative space. It is the face of the Assembly in every community. It is where residents seek guidance, where they seek assistance, and where reassurance of their concerns and matters of their concerns are brought to the bearing. It is where the work of representation truly happens, Madam Presiding Officer. One conversation, one family, one problem at a time. Madam Presiding Officer, all residents deserve offices that are functional, offices that are welcoming, and offices that are properly resourced. They deserve an environment that reflects the respect we hold for the people we serve. And our staff who labor daily to support that work, deserve fair compensation and safe working conditions that recognize their role as the backbone of local representation. It is within that spirit that the House Committee approached this review. The amendments proposed in this report aim to modernize and streamline the operations of district offices, and we have 15 of them now, while ensuring that they remain accessible and accountable. These adjustments, Madam Presiding Officer, are intended to provide greater flexibility for members to determine how best to serve their electoral districts within a reasonable and accountable framework, to ensure that salaries reflect current labor standards and cost of living readiness and realities, and to align operational expenses with the true cost of maintaining district offices in a changing economic environment. But, Madam Presiding Officer, beyond the numbers, this work speaks to something deeper. It speaks to the respect and to the seriousness with which we approach the office of the Assemblyman itself. We want our district offices to be places of dignity, spaces that communicate order, accessibility, and of course care. Spaces that uphold the integrity of the Assembly and the trust of the public. Madam Presiding Officer, as we continue this work into the next term of office, there are additional matters that will require our attention. Among them, the issue of security for district offices, the need for greater accessibility for residents that need this type of inclusion, and of course, who may be differently abled, and the continued enhancement of office standards across all districts. These are matters that the House Committee has already begun discussing, and we hope which will share the advancement of the next session of this Honorable House. The work of the committee, therefore, is ongoing. It does not end with the passage of this report. Rather, it represents a renewed commitment to refining how we serve, how we operate, and how we uphold the dignity of public office here in Tobago. Madam Presiding Officer, my colleagues will, in due course, expand on the specific areas, though briefly, of amendment contained within this report, and of course, address in greater detail the provisions related to accommodation, to staffing, and to operations. But as the chair of the committee, I wish to emphasize that our guiding principle throughout this process has been simple: to strengthen representation by strengthening the systems that support it. It is our hope that these improvements will not only enhance the way we serve, but also bring our Assembly closer to the people it was created to represent. And therefore, Madam Presiding Officer, with these few words, I commend the House Committee's report 2025 to this Honorable House for its consideration and eventual adoption. Madam Presiding Officer, I beg to move this motion standing in my name.
Honorable members, the question proposed is, be it resolved that this House adopts the report of the House Committee of the 12th session of the Tobago House of Assembly 2021 to 2025. Member for Plymouth Blackrock, you may now join this debate.
Morning, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank the able people of Plymouth Blackrock for allowing me the opportunity to represent them. And though the district is Plymouth Blackrock, it is much further and wider than that. It also includes Plymouth Road, Mary's Hill, Wim, Union, Fairbanks, Mountie, Church Street, Bethel, Mount Irvin, Pleasant, Prospect. And I think based on naming out all of those areas, I am the perfect person to speak on this portion of the amendments of the operation manual for the electoral district offices. Madam Presiding Officer, I rise today in support of the amendments of the operational manual for the electoral district offices, the 10th edition, 2017 to 2021, proposed by the House Committee. Madam Presiding Officer, I would like to specifically speak to the proposed amendments to number 1 of section 1.01, part 1 and 3, accommodation, entitlements, and rental ceilings. The amendment focuses on the revision of, The amendment focuses on the revision of rental structure and introduction of a flexible ceiling for district and sub-offices. The original text reads as follows. Section 1.01. Generally, the members are entitled to establish one office within the electoral district. However, subject to B, the Assembly Legislature Secretariat will assist qualifying members with the establishment and maintenance of no more than one sub-office. The establishment of a sub-office must be approved by the House Committee. Section 1.01, Part 3. In electoral districts without an available government building, a member has the authority to rent a suitable main office at a maximum cost of $6,500 per month and one sub-office at a maximum cost of $3,500. The amendments proposed are to remove the text in Section 1.01 Part 1 and Section 1.01 Part 3 and insert the following. Madam Presiding Officer, with this amendment, each member shall be entitled to establish a district office and may, where necessary, establish a sub-office within the electoral district to enhance representation and accessibility. The Assembly Legislative Secretariat shall assist qualifying members with the establishment and maintenance of these offices. Further, Madam Presiding Officer, the rental cost of the district office and or sub-office shall not exceed a combined maximum of $10,000 per month. Members shall determine the number and location of offices based on the geography, population density, and access requirements of their electoral districts. All rental arrangements and office locations shall be subject to the final approval of the House Committee. The resultant effect of these changes are that we would maintain the distinction between district office and sub-offices as established in the original manual. Grants members flexibility to determine how office resources are allocated within a combined ceiling of $10,000 per month. Clarify that individual rental ceilings are not fixed, but rather form part of a total allowable sum. Ensures that final approval for office arrangements rests with the House Committee. Madam Presiding Officer, the House Committee recognizes that several electoral districts across Tobago encompass expansive geographic areas and multiple distinct population clusters, often separated by natural or infrastructural barriers. In such cases, the operation of a single district office often provides insufficient needs for all constituents, particularly those residing in outlying areas. The amendments to the sub-office provisions is grounded in the need to strengthen accessibility, inclusion, and operational efficiency across Tobago's electoral districts. It will provide members with the flexibility to bring representation closer to the people. It will ensure that representation remains accessible, visible, responsive, and inclusive. One will appreciate that effective service is not only about administrative delivery, but also about visibility and inclusion. Currently, there is a broader need for location-based flexibility in districts with similar geographic and demographic characteristics as the one that I currently represent. Moreover, sub-offices improve operational efficiency by allowing staff and services to be distributed strategically between communities. Madam Presiding Officer, by retaining the combined rental ceiling of $10,000 per month, the amendment maintains fiscal responsibility while empowering members to tailor their operations according to their district's specific layout, population density, and accessibility challenges. This balance of flexibility and accountability reflects the Assembly's ongoing commitment to modernization, fairness, and effective governance. Thank you.
Do we have any more contributors? Okay. You give way? Member for Lambo Lowlands, you may now join this debate.
Madam Presiding Officer, thank you for the opportunity to contribute to this motion. And let me once more thank the people of Lambo Lowlands for giving me the opportunity to represent them. Madam Presiding Officer, I think my task is the simplest of all and will be the shortest of all. My contribution here is clearly dealing with the Second Amendment concerning the salary arrangements. Subject, the adjustment of staff salary, the ceilings and update to the national minimum wage standard. So, presently, all area representatives at the district offices are given $20,000 per month for the hiring of staff. And Madam Presiding Officer, that in itself is a challenge because as an area representative myself, it's very difficult to attract qualified staff, people who could really do the work for the salary, which is very minimal as a reward for the task that you have to perform. So I rise to support the necessarily an increase from the $20,000 per month to $30,000. This don't need a long explanation. It simply says that if you have to have the proper people to do the work, then these people must be paid properly. So, Madam Presiding Officer, I stand here to agree with the amendments. And basically, with the projected increase, I think we all, as area representatives, stand to have much more efficiency and much more qualified people to carry out these roles and functions. I thank you, Madam Presiding Officer.
Member for Darrell Spring Rim, you may now join this debate.
Madam Presiding Officer, good morning. And I stand here a proud area representative as we welcome one of our rising stars to this honorable house in the public gallery, young Mia Bipak, and of course, her grandmom, Miss Pulwati Bipat, who is but one of the real leading spiritual religious persons in Tobago representing the Hindu faith. Welcome to the public gallery of the People's House, the Tobago House of Assembly Legislature. Madam Presiding Officer, of course, I'd want to thank, and I know last sitting I perhaps temporarily took leave of my seat, but I'm here to reclaim it today. And thank, the resilient, loyal, and faithful residents of the electoral district of Darrell Spring Wim, who they have understood that notwithstanding the limitations of office, that their interest has always been placed first when it comes to this area representative, and therefore it is quite relevant that we are having this paper laid today from the House Committee. And I'd also like to call to the attention of Tobagonians to recognize that notwithstanding what you may see play out in social media there and etc., when it comes to the work of the people of Tobago, we all do take it serious, and this paper again is testament to that. I rise in support of all provisions of the amendments, including this one at section 3.0 that speaks to really revising the operational expenses that we all incur as area representatives. As you would recall, Madam Presiding Officer, when these provisions were put in place, there was nothing like internet. There was nothing, the prices of supplies, basic cleaning supplies, etc., is not where they are now. As every time you go to the supermarket, we all have homes, you'll recognize that prices are in fact getting more and more expensive. And therefore, what would have been acceptable and affordable maybe 10 years ago is no longer affordable at this time. And therefore, I really want to put to this House that amendment that specifically treats with the operational expenses, moving from 5,800 to a total of 7,500 for one office and 10,500 for two offices. So we are amending the current total allocation from 5,800 to 7,500 for one office and 10,500 for two offices. Because I'll share as an example, at my office, we have a telephone plan for the office. And that plan by itself, I think, is about $800 to $900. When this was envisaged, you only had landlines and no internet. Now you have to pay for landlines plus internet, and that cost has increased exponentially. So therefore, Madam Presiding Officer, this is in fact important to improve the overall efficiency of how we represent our electoral district. We know with more resources comes greater expectation, and therefore I can attest that on this side, we are committed to ensuring that we represent the electoral district to the very best of our ability. So with those few words, I wish to thank you.
Assemblyman Megan Morrison, you may now join this debate.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. I seek leave of 42.7 that I can read my presentation, ma'am.
Leave is granted.
Madam Presiding Officer, colleagues all, members in the viewing gallery, those online. As area representative for the electoral district of Mount St. George Goodwood, I am beyond pleased to contribute to this motion in particular. As a non-member committee, I applaud the work of the House Committee and for bringing this report in time so we can bring better representation to the people of our electoral districts. I rise today to speak briefly on the significance of the amendments of the House Committee's report for 2025, and more importantly, how these changes can transform the way we represent and serve our communities across Tobago. The operational manual has long served as an administrative backbone to our district offices, guiding members of the Assembly in how we manage our resources, our staff, and the daily affairs of our electoral districts. However, with the change in times, increase in cost of living, and evolving community needs, it became clear that a review was not only necessary but urgent. The adjustments made by this committee are more than administrative updates. They are strategic steps towards stronger, fairer, and more efficient representation for the people of Tobago. Madam Presiding Officer, one of the most meaningful revisions related to the accommodation on office structure. Members are now granted a flexibility to manage both a main office and a sub-office with a combined rental ceiling of $10,000, as my colleague stated before. This change allows representatives to operate where the people are in both urban and rural pockets of the districts, ensuring no community is left behind due to geography or access challenges. In real time, this means that residents at both ends of the electoral district can benefit from closer contact and faster service from their elected representatives. It also acknowledges the realities of today's rental market, ensuring our offices remain functional and accessible, and professionally for both staff and the constituents and residents. Madam Presiding Officer, equally important are the staffing and salary adjustment. By raising the staffing ceiling from 20,000 to 30,000 and up to 40,000 where both district offices and sub-offices exist, this amendment brings our salary structure in line with national labor standards. It also accommodates Tobago's unique workforce realities, where cost of living and specialization and administrative skills have shifted significantly in recent years. The updated minimum and maximum salary range ensures that staff are fairly compensated, motivated, and retained, leading to higher productivity and continuity in service delivery. A strong team behind each assemblyman is what ultimately translates to strong representation for our people. Additionally, Madam Presiding Officer, the increase in operational grants allocation from 5,008 to 7,005 and 10,005 per month, of course, depending on if you have one or two district offices. These adjustments may seem technical on paper, but their efforts is deeply community-based, where our offices can operate effectively with reliable utilities, adequate maintenance, and functional communication systems. It allows representatives to focus on people's concern rather than the administrative shortfalls. Madam Presiding Officer, these amendments collectively strengthen the institutionalized capacity of the Tobago House of Assembly. They reaffirm our commitment to transparency, accountability, modernization in governance. More importantly, they demonstrate that this House is listening to the needs of both our staff and our districts. By upgrading an outdated manual, we are bridging the gap between policy and practice, ensuring that every electoral district office from Charlottesville to Crown Point has the tools necessary to service effectively. In conclusion, these changes are not merely administrative, as I said prior. They represent investment in Tobago's democratic process. They empower members to serve with great reach, stronger systems, and renewed purpose. As we adopt this revised manual, we are setting a new standard for representation, one rooted in fairness, efficiency, genuine community engagement, The people of Tobago deserve nothing less. I unreservedly support this motion. Madam Presiding Officer, I thank you.
Leader of Assembly Business, you may now wrap up this debate.
Madam Presiding Officer, as I close, I wish to express my sincerest gratitude to all members who have contributed to this debate and to the work of the House Committee over the course of this session. Before I close, I wish to now recap the amendments so members of the listening gallery and Tobagonians at large can hear what we've been amending over the past session. Amendment number 1, and there are 3 such amendments, to Section 1.01, Items 1 and 3, Accommodation, Entitlement, and Rental Ceiling, found on pages 7 to 8 of the Operations Manual. And the subject of this amendment is a revision of rental structure and introduction of flexible ceiling for district and sub-offices. The original text reads, generally, the members are entitled to establish one office within the electoral district. However, subject to Section B, the Assembly Legislative Secretariat will assist qualifying members with the establishment and maintenance of no more than one sub-office. The establishment of a sub-office must be approved by the House Committee. And Section 1.01, Item 3, in electoral districts without an available government building, a member has the authority to rent a suitable main office at a maximum cost of $6,500 per month and one sub-office at a maximum cost of $3,500 per month. And our amendment reads, each member shall be entitled to establish a district office and may, where necessary, establish a sub-office within the same electoral district to enhance representation and accessibility. The Assembly Legislative Secretariat shall assist qualifying members with the establishment and maintenance of these offices. The rental cost for the district office and or sub-office shall not exceed a combined maximum of $10,000 per month. Members, therefore, shall determine the number and location of offices based on the geography, population density, and access requirements of their electoral districts. All rental arrangements and office locations shall be subject to the final approval of the House Committee. Amendment 2, Section 2.01B, 2 to 4, Entitlement, Approved Salary Arrangements, to be found on pages 12 to 13 of the Operations Manual. Subject of the amendment, adjustment of staff salary ceilings and update to national minimum wage standards. And the original text reads, for employment of any number of persons to perform administrative, clerical, cleaning, driving, research, messaging duties, a combined maximum of $20,000 per month. 3, in areas where sub-offices have been approved, members will be permitted to employ up to 2 persons at a combined maximum of $5,000 per month. And 4, no person shall be paid more than $8,500 per month, nor less than $2,000 per month. And the amendment reads, remove in Section 2.01B, subsection 2, a combined maximum of $20,000 per month, and insert a combined maximum of $30,000 per month. Remove in Section 2.01B, subsection 3, in areas where sub-offices have been approved, members will be permitted to employ up to 2 persons at a combined maximum of $5,000 a month, and insert, where a member maintains both a district office and a sub-office, an additional allocation of $10,000 per month shall be permitted for staffing, bringing the total allowable salary expenditure to $40,000 per month. Removing Section 2.01B4, no person shall be paid more than $8,500 per month, nor less than $2,000 per month, and insert, no person shall be paid more than $10,000 per month, nor less than $3,553.33 per month, consistent with the national minimum wage of $20.50 per hour, effective January 1st, 2024. And amendment number 3, section 3.01 of the Operations Manual, entitled Operations and Entitlements, pages 15 to 16. Subject of the amendment: revision of operational grant allocations. And the original text reads, operational expenses currently a total $5,800 per month and as allocated as follows: utilities, $2,000, routine maintenance, $500, postage, stationery, janitorial and general supplies, $3,000, mobile phone allowance, $300, for a grand total of $5,800. The amendment reads, remove the existing text and insert the following: operational expenses shall be allocated as follows: utilities, $2,500 for one office, $5,000 for two offices. Routine maintenance, $500 for one office, $1,000 for two offices. Postage, stationery, janitorial, general supplies, to be moved from, $3,000 to $4,000. Mobile phone to be moved from $300 to $500 per month. The total operational grant shall therefore be $7,500 for one office and $10,500 for two offices. Madam Presiding Officer, these allocations reflect updated market costs and ensure that members can adequately maintain their district operations. Madam Presiding Officer, these deliberations today have underscored what we have long known, that the strength of this assembly lies in its capacity to adapt, to improve, and to modernize the systems through which we serve the people of Tobago. Madam Presiding Officer, therefore, this House Committee Report 2025 represents more than just the adjustment of allowances or figures. It is a reaffirmation of a collective commitment to effective representation. Every amendment contained in this report, whether to accommodation, to staffing, or to operational expenses, speaks to one clear objective: ensuring that every assemblyman, all 15 of us, has the necessary tools to serve our constituents with accessibility, with dignity, and with accountability. In debating this report today, Madam Presiding Officer, members have the right to rightfully reflect on the evolving role of the area representative. The demands of this office have grown immensely, we must all agree. Our residents expect visibility, they expect responsiveness, and they expect that when they enter a district office, they will find order, care, and efficiency. And so these amendments are not about convenience for members. No, Madam Presiding Officer. They're about ensuring that those expectations are met and that our operations match the level of trust placed in us by the people we represent. And therefore, Madam Presiding Officer, through this process, the House Committee has sought to strike a delicate but necessary balance, giving members the flexibility to determine how best to structure their district offices, while maintaining the oversight and accountability that must accompany all public expenditure. The committee has also recognized the importance of fair compensation for our staff, improved operational provisions, and the need to create environments that reflect the dignity of governance. When we invest in better systems, you will agree, Madam Presiding Officer, we invest in better service. When we strengthen the operations that support representatives, you would agree, my colleagues, we strengthen the assembly itself. And therefore, Madam Presiding Officer, before I close, I also wish to acknowledge the members of the House Committee who participated in this exercise with professionalism and purpose. We wanted to meet more frequently, Madam Presiding Officer, but of course, the duties of our responsibilities as area representatives also came into question. And so we hope that we have done this work, this great work, much to your acknowledgement. And I hope that the members of this House are also pleased with what we've brought forward today. And so as I close, I wish to thank Assemblyman Kelvin Morris, member for Darrell Spring Wim, Assemblyman Wayne Clark, member for Lambo Lowlands, Assemblyman Niall George, member for Plymouth Blackrock, and in her absence, Assemblyman Nathisha Charles Panton, member for Bacalet Bagatelle. Their cooperation and insights ensure that this review was conducted fairly and with due consideration for the realities faced by all 15 assemblymen. We have 40 now. Madam Presiding Officer, while this report focused on immediate operational reforms, the committee also recognized that there is more work ahead. Matters of security, as I said before, improved accessibility for residents who are differently abled, and the standardization of the office environments across districts remain on the agenda. These are not afterthoughts, Madam Presiding Officer. They are a next phase of development that will carry forward into the new term of this Honorable House. The passage of this report today is therefore not an end, but a continuation. It signals that this Assembly understands its responsibility to evolve, to make governance more efficient, more humane, and more responsive to the people of Tobago. And Madam Presiding Officer, as leader of Assembly Business and Chair of the House Committee, I am proud to commend this report to you, my colleagues, and to this House. It embodies our collective will to strengthen representation through structure, to promote equity through administration, and to preserve integrity through accountability. I therefore respectfully urge all members to support the adoption of the House Committee's report, confident that its implementation will enhance the dignity of service, deepen the connection between representative and resident, and advance the standard of governance in Tobago. Madam Presiding Officer, I so move.
Honorable members, the question put is, be it resolved that the House adopts the report of the House Committee of the 12th session of the Tobago House of Assembly 2021 to 2025. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any against say no? The ayes have it, motion carried. Honorable members, it's 3 minutes to 12. I am proposing we break for lunch and return at 1 o'clock. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any against say nay? This House now stands suspended for exactly 1 hour. We will resume at 1 o'clock.